Your life isn't messed up enough for most of you guys to actually start a business. 7 to 10 steps you just gotta chew into. And they're big steps. You ask yourself, how do I make money today? You get the right mentors, you get the right coaches, and then they are where you want to be. There's 2 ways of putting pressure on yourself. You gotta light a fire under your ass. It's gotta burn. If you fail, there is a consequence. I'm not gonna be lazy. I'm giving myself no way out. Everybody say no way out. No way out. The problem is we have too much of a way out. How do you even know what you're working on is gonna actually move the ball forward in your life? When I say fundamentals, this should be taking care of the 80%, and the details should be taking care of the 20%. AKA, if you don't generate leads through cold traffic, the right affiliate deals, the right agencies, the right outreach, the right organic, you haven't taken care of fundamentals there. If you don't have the right offer, you haven't taken care of fundamentals there. If you're a deal maker like myself, you're doing mergers and acquisitions, and you don't know how to negotiate, you don't have a board of directors, you haven't taken care of fundamentals. It's about, I'm just throwing out a number, 7 to 10 steps you just gotta chew into. And they're big steps. And they're the things that we don't want to do, and they're the things, by the way, that might take longer than you want. There's 2 paradigms you're going to hear with a lot of hustle culture, success, self-help, all this shit. On the one hand, you have the Marcel side, which is like shortcut, shortcut, shortcut. When you take that approach and you ask yourself, how do I make money today? Does that open up a portal in your mind? Does that change possibility? Does that change what your RES focuses on? It does. It changes everything. But on the other hand, does success compound over decades? Do your skills compound over decades? Does your knowledge compound over decades? In a way to where in 10 years, through consistency and being willing to be patient with it for a long duration of that 10 years, by staying focused and doing it again and again and again, and infusing your craft with energy, you'll accomplish more in 10 years than you thought you actually could. You'll predict, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, but you can't predict from where you're standing how things will compound in 10 years. But we overestimate what's gonna happen in 6 months. We overestimate what's gonna happen in a year. We overestimate what's gonna happen in 2 years. We'll underestimate decades. Does that make sense? So it's 2 almost conflicting ways of viewing the world, but they're actually, it's like a Venn diagram. There's a middle ground where they meet. The shortcut approach, like the Marcel, how do I get something done today? Because you need that sense of urgency. When you take on your workday, you should feel some tension. Meaning it should stretch you to accomplish what you want to accomplish by the end of the day. And then the other side of it is taking a longer term view on things. How are things going to build over the long term? I tend to be more long term focused. Marcel tends to be more short term focused. There is a middle ground though. How many of y'all are working on your entrepreneurship venture right now? Okay, it's a startup. Is that, who here is, it's a startup currently? Oh, and the rest of you already have businesses. Is that correct? Who here's venture is a startup right now? It's not cash flowing. Okay, cool. If you guys are working on your startup, well, what puts pressure on you if it's a startup? Well, there's a couple different things. One is you get the right mentors, you get the right coaches, and then they are where you want to be. That's the first step. If you've gotten somebody who is where you want to be, not somebody who's 6 out of 10 where you want to be. I mean, 10 out of 10, they have the results that you want. That puts pressure on you because they point out your blind spots. You're not doing this, or you're not working fast enough. You're not getting that person. Use leverage here, whatever. And the second thing is if it's mentors and coaches, maybe you put skin in the game, AKA you paid. Does paying money put pressure on yourself? Yes. Okay, next thing. If you're around the right people, and they're operating at a high level, does that put pressure on yourself? Yes. Yeah, because it forces you to want to step up. The next thing is there's 2 ways of putting pressure on yourself. You gotta light a fire under your ass, under your asshole. It's gotta burn. Okay, so there's gotta be a stick. And then the second approach is there's gotta be a carrot in front of you. So how do I drive myself by moving towards a direction and also running away from the pain if I don't get what I want to get done, done. Does that make sense? So if you're going to go running away from pain, set up the external environment to where if you fail, there is a consequence. You ever see these UFC fighters that trash talk each other a lot? Mm-hmm. Half the trash talking, what is it for? Show, but for what? Marketing, right? What's the other half of it for? Put a fire under their ass. If Conor McGregor says, I'm fucking Mystic Mac and I'm gonna knock him out in the second round, whatever. Does that put a fire under his ass? Yeah. He's now gotta deliver. But he's telling his DNA, I'm not gonna be lazy, I'm giving myself no way out. Everybody say no way out. No way out. The problem is we have too much of a way out. And that's why we don't have that fire under our ass. This is all talking about the stick. This is all talking about the stick. What's another version of the stick? When you actually hire people, when you make the decision, you have a startup, but you put skin in the game of your project by hiring people, and now they rely on you for salary. That puts big pressure on your ass. Payroll, you might not do things for yourself, but you'll do it for other people. But the ultimate thing goes back, the ultimate way of pressure and holding yourself accountable is the following. You actually just love the craft. So that holds you accountable. But most people, when they're starting, aren't there. They aren't there. When our energy is lower, we're around the wrong people, you're kind of coming from the suburbs, and kind of like my story, it's easy to rationalize being in that environment. Your life isn't messed up enough for most of you guys to actually start a business. You understand that? Why do I say that? Why do you think? Yeah, you're too comfortable. The need isn't high. When the pressure is really on the line because you'll either die, get into financial ruin, it's amazing how your mind comes up with solutions. Why? Because desperate times call for desperate measures. And when the chips are down and when you don't have money, what do you find? A creative solution. Everybody say a creative solution. Creative solution. So pressure, once you're actually, who here has a business? Okay, hold your hand up really high. With your business, who here's been financially on the line to where you had to make payroll or it's like financial collapse? Raise your hand high. All right, it's pretty much all the same people. So once they have a business, is the pressure on? But for you, if you don't have a business, is the pressure on? No. But when your desperate times call for desperate measures, is the pressure on? Yeah. So you have to manufacture your own pressure in the beginning. You have to manufacture it. Without manufacturing it, what your DNA is always trying to save what? Two things. Time and energy. If your DNA is trying to save time and energy, it will trick your thought process into staying comfortable. It always will. Even you guys who invested into the program this weekend, these are very minor investments compared to what you're going to have to go through in business. That's just the truth. So it's good that you started that process with yourself if you guys are newer to that. And with entrepreneurship, it wasn't like this great love of mine. I started it because of desperation. I didn't start it because I'm trying to get Ferraris and this and that. I'm starting it because of desperation. Maybe the Ferrari or the mansion or your lifestyle or being on a yacht is the carrot, the low-hanging fruit of motivation you need to get started. Marcel was saying The Wolf of Wall Street, he thinks Jordan Belfort's a piece of shit. I agree. But a lot of times people watch The Wolf of Wall Street and they're like, I want to start a business because I want to live this hedonistic lifestyle. Use whatever fuel is available to you at the time. Use whatever fuel is available to you at the time. Your fuel source will evolve into higher paradigm fuel sources. But when you're new, use whatever fuel you have.